Larry Bird was a 3-time MVP in a row.
For sure.
Putting up around the stats of 30, 10, and 10. Steph Curry, in his own era, was never considered the best player. Larry Bird's a better passer, a better rebounder, one of the greatest shooters of all time, one of the greatest scorers of all time, and his peak was absolutely ridiculous. How do you have Steph Curry over Larry Bird?
Again, when I talk about these things, this is no slight to Larry. No slight to Larry. Larry had an amazing peak. You're right, the 3 MVPs. How long did Larry Bird play in the NBA?
Around 10 years.
That's not a lot of time.
Well, this kind of goes back to like the Jordan LeBron thing where like how much you value longevity, for sure. It's part of it.
I
like peaks better than longevity, me personally.
I mean, we could go peak for peak. We can go peak for peak. From
3 MVPs in a row.
Fact. 2 MVPs in a row and the only unanimous MVP. Best regular season record ever. You go to 2017, you go 16-1 and win a ring. So again, peak for peak, it's there. And the other part of that is, again, we got to talk situation. What situation did Bird walk into? Bird wins his first ring with another MVP on his team, Bill Walton.
I mean, Steph does have 2 with another MVP.
He does.
And Bill Walton. Whoa.
We wasn't the same. We
got to chill. Bill Walton was coming off the bench,
but he still. But that was the piece they needed, though.
For sure.
When they got Bill Walton, they said, we are going to win now because of that.
Bill Walton was great, but he was a shell of himself.
I don't think he was a shell of himself. He's coming off the foot injury. He was still good.
He was out the league for like 2 years.
But he was still an MVP player. You had an MVP.
Well, who's better, Bill Walton or Durant?
Well, I'm not comparing those two. We could talk the first ring to the first ring. I won't compare them to KD.
Yeah.
But look at the situation that Bird and Magic played in. And look at what was going on in the league in the 80s. This is the expansion era. You know the expansion era team. I got a long episode on this, so I've done a little bit of research.
Okay.
Those expansion era teams that come in the 80s and 90s, they had a 20% winning record, right? They only won 20% of the games when they got into the league. So they're playing against weaker competition. That's why the 80s is dominated by the Lakers and by the Celtics until you get the Pistons in the late 80s. Those 2 teams dominated the league. The league wasn't as competitive. This is the most competitive the NBA has ever been. And at 37 years old, you got this guy putting up back-to-back 40-point nights against the alien, the guy who's the best defensive player in the league. And he makes him look human. So I respect Larry. I respect Magic. They're 2 of the 10 best players of all time. They saved the NBA. They made it popular again. They got the league off tape delay. But as I'm watching the game, there's a difference between what Steph has done for this amount of years versus what they did in their careers, which are kind of short. 10 years is not a long time. You look at Magic, had to retire early, due to those circumstances. But even when you get to the Dream Team, Bird couldn't even play. His back was on.
He already did his work, though.
He was done. Yeah. But he was done. Now look at Steph Curry on the Olympic team.
But all these players are playing longer, bro. It was a different era.
But playing longer to what level, right? Look at the level. Vince Carter played 20 years in the league. What was Vince doing the last 5 to 10 years?
So is this an argument? So how do you feel about LeBron and Steph? Who was the better player during their primes? Who was the more defining player of that era because their primes did coincide? I think LeBron was clearly the better player, but during that unanimous MVP year, there definitely was an argument for Steph. I'm not even going to lie to you. But over the course of time, I think LeBron was the better player. Is that fair?
LeBron has 2 peaks, I think. I think you got the first and second ring in Miami, and then I think you get to 2018 where he goes up against, Durant and Steph in the finals and dominates that stat line. And then you go to the 2016 finals, 40 points, 2 or 3 games in a row, dominant, sheer dominance. But I look at circumstances around it, and I look, Stephen Curry was the best player in the world in 2015, the first MVP year. The second MVP year where the MVP is measured in regular season, not the playoffs. He's the best player. They go 73-9. He's sitting half of the fourth quarters of those games. Dominance. He's the best player in the league. He's the best player in the league, hands down. Then you get KD, so I for the sake of what people will say, I won't even count those years. We won't even count those against him. But then you go to 2021, Steph is better than LeBron. You go to 2022, Steph is better than LeBron. You go to last season, Steph is better than LeBron. You go to this season, Steph is better than LeBron. Once he wins that first ring, and now we can count from 2015 to 2025, there's no question to me who the best player is. No question.